Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show, Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. A surprisingly busy day. We're almost a month into the Coaching Carousel, Denny Carter, and it just keeps spinning. Some teams never got on it. The Buffalo Bills, they tried to get off of it when they fired Sean McDermott, and then they just they couldn't figure out how do you do this? How's this thing even go? Do you put a quarter in it?
Yeah, how do you spin it?
Yeah. Do they still make quarters? And so they couldn't figure out the carousel. And they have just promoted offensive coordinator Joe Brady to head coach. Quite a curious decision. I will lead the show with that. More curious decisions abound, Denny. Mike McCarthy, you're a famous proponent of the viewpoint that Mike McCarthy did nothing wrong. I'm pretty sure you would not have espoused Mike McCarthy to the Pittsburgh Steelers, though.
I would not.
Mike McCarthy seems more of like a finish the job type of guy, not start the job with either Aaron Rodgers or Will Howard or God knows who. Very curious hire by a team that likes to make forever hires. Not that that's the only kind of coaching hire you can make. We'll break that down. We still have not even talked to Jesse Minter to the Ravens, a much more conventional, better on paper hire. On the Titans, reportedly snagged Brian Daboll as their next offensive coordinator, even though he's claiming he can still become the Raiders head coach. Don't see that happening. On the Jets, who had already fired 7 or 8 assistants, I believe it was 7, fired another offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. This is not a joke. Diana Rossini posted right before we came on the air that the Jets have a plan and to stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Sounds like the final thing you hear before you die. The Jets have a plan. Don't worry about it. The Jets have a plan. Ellipses, stay tuned. I'd be like, well, had a good run. Had a really good run on this earth.
Rich Simony of ESPN had a pretty damning piece today on Aaron Glenn's first season at the helm. And let's just say I read the whole thing and I doubt this new plan is going to work.
The new plan in Miami is the same as the old plan. Bobby Slowik to offensive coordinator. Don't love that. Although Denny probably does. I thought Denny dabbled in Slowik, did nothing wrong.
Absolutely not. No.
And if we have time, we'll get to Matthew Stafford. We'll get to Kyron Williams. There's some Travis Hunter stuff. There's Brown stuff. There's Raider stuff. There's too much to get to. We'll just see what we have time for. Tell you what we definitely have time for, Denny, is some little banter 2.5 minutes into the show. I set up the entire show. It's no secret that this entire continental United States has been crippled by a winter storm. Some of us more than others. Apparently, you've been plagued by ice in Maryland.
So much ice.
I just thought this would be a good time. I made a pretty significant life change this winter, Denny. Pretty significant. Not talking about having a 5th child, which is happening this spring. I became a snowblower guy.
Oh, really?
Became a snowblower.
You entered the ranks of the snowblowers. Huh?
I became a snowblower guy. And, Missouri, listen, it doesn't snow that much. Like, it snows every winter. You don't really need to be a snowblower guy. But first off, listen, I have a big driveway. All right. So before you start judging, it's really big. The top of it doesn't get much sun. All right. So there's that. And then also I live next door to my parents-in-law. And even 2 or 3 inches, if you're shoveling 2 driveways, let's just say it gets very tedious.
Oh, and no. I mean, especially if your driveway is long and then you have to do another driveway. No way, man. No way. I actually saw 2 young men trying to shovel a long driveway across the street and they literally quit halfway through. and they got in their truck and they left. And apparently the owners of the house didn't even know it happened. Yeah.
Quitting is a very key part of shoveling. Well, I got the top third done, and like trying to justify it to that's the only part that doesn't get sun. The bottom 2/3 do get sun, so it's really not that big of a deal. Right. Really not that big of a deal that I only did the top third.
So tell me, how did the snow blowing go?
It's really amazing.
It's amazing.
My life has changed. Not even a bit. Like, it was actually enjoyable. It was although. If you're not careful, you can blow humongous amounts of snow directly into your face.
Right.
And
well, you have to play the wind.
You do. And the wind was kind of swirling, though. It was like 0 degrees. So even the slightest miscalculation was like, never been colder. Truly never been colder than I am right now.
I've actually seen that happen with local snow blowers. And I feel like you need a caddy. You kind of do. You kind of do to follow you around, and they can kind of lick their finger and the wind. We're going southwest about 25 miles an hour. adjust accordingly, right? And instead of telling you to hit the 4-iron instead of the 5-iron, they're telling you which way to blow it. It's critical because otherwise, like you said, I mean, you turn into Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
I got shining several times, and there was a few times where I was just like basically changing directions. Like, do I really need to adjust the chute for? Oh, yep, I did. Wow. Like, and I'm frozen, and I'm Nicholson yet again.
But as a guy, you can't react.
No,
you can't react. You have to pretend that you're fine. Oh, okay. Well, a whole thing of snow, like seriously, like 8 buckets worth of snow right in my face.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm not even kidding. I'm one of the last people in America with sideburns, and I came in and they were just in ice, completely
really?
Caked in ice. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Well, the burns got the worst of it, huh?
They did. We gotta move on to. I have to say too, like an annoying / I told you so moment I have with my kids, because we got the snow, like the high all weekend. It never got above like 12 degrees, and my kids just begging to go outside. Kept begging, like, it's dangerously cold. You can't go outside. Blah blah blah. They finally went outside for a few minutes when I was using the snowblower, and then like all 4 of them got some degree of like, oh man, like my 9-year-old daughter, like her ear. Like got it like snow burned, or like I tried to tell you, because of course she immediately took off her hat, and
yeah, no, you can't in this weather. You got to have the hat, which I hate. Trust me, I hate the hat, but you got to wear it because your ears will never recover.
I did wear a hat, so that protected me from the snow I was blowing in my face. Nothing can protect the Buffalo Bills from themselves. Apparently, Denny Carter. I don't know how this was the outcome, how this was the plan. They fired Sean McDermott. So my very first thoughts on the Joe Brady promotion to Bills head coach. I wanted you to fire Sean McDermott. If I had known the plan was to promote Joe Brady, why don't you just keep Sean McDermott and then keep Joe Brady? Like, do we really think like this is that big of a difference? Sean McDermott's still fairly well regarded, I feel like, for coaching up his guys on defense, even though they've done an increasingly poor job of getting him guys to coach up on defense. If this was the plan, I would have just run back what I had, even though I thought they needed to make a change. Instead, they just didn't make a change. They too clever by half. If this was the plan, seriously, back up the Brinks truck for Mike McCarthy is my opinion. Like, this is the one place that would have made sense. I feel like this is I may have posted, it was a quote, inconceivably disastrous outcome. Maybe that was hyperbolic. But what do you think of Joe Brady becoming the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills?
I have a couple thoughts, and just on that same theme of like, you could have simply kept Sean McDermott. Our buddy Greg Rosenthal from NFL Network actually posted today, Joe Brady should consider hiring Sean McDermott as his defensive coordinator, and just get it back together. We're running it back, really, with some chair maneuvering on the deck of the Titanic, but. So I will say, just from like a metric standpoint, from a statistical standpoint, I'm finding it very difficult to know where Joe Brady's scheming and play calling end and where Josh Allen's otherworldly quarterback play begins. You can't really separate those two things. So when you look at, EPA and success rate, just, kind of a high level evaluation of how efficient the offense has been under Joe Brady, it's good. It's good. It's so good. In fact, only the Niners have had a better success rate over the past 3 seasons, and nobody has a better EPA per play than Buffalo under Brady. Wow. But is that just Josh Allen being crazy? I kind of think it is.
Denny, say it. Josh Allen, goblin mode,
best quarterback in the game. Shout out Patrick Mahomes. And
I just realized I let that go unanswered, but continue.
So I guess we can expect this team to stay pretty run heavy, / super run heavy when they have a lead. Actually, I looked into that too. And nothing much will change offensively. Hopefully Joe Brady can get, some better receivers in there, some better pass catchers for Josh Allen. But I do want to say this on Brady. He is quite the credit absorber.
Yes.
By that, I mean, look, when he was at LSU, he had a team with Joe Burrow.
So he didn't have much talent at LSU. You don't really need to look into it. It's fine.
Right. Well, I did. And he had Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase.
All right,
And so he got promoted. He rode that whole thing to an NFL job, to prominence in professional football. Then it seems like he had some role in getting Ken Dorsey fired, even though Ken Dorsey did nothing wrong as Bill's offensive coach.
Which also, Denny, plays into the idea, this is probably more Josh Allen than Joe Brady, because I know you and Kyle were humongous proponents, defenders of Ken Dorsey, and I was not. But it just, Josh Allen makes the efficiency machine go burr.
He does. Because, he is such an efficient rusher of the football, and that makes all the difference. And so, by the way, so is Mahomes, unbelievably so, for a guy who seemingly can't run, but he can. So it's hard to say if this is. I actually don't think it's catastrophic, but it'll be more of the same. It'll be more of the same.
I do think it's catastrophic. Like they made a painful admission, and they were first guessed for it, but how many different times can you try the same thing? They had won a playoff game 6 years in a row. Like, this is an organization where too many teams think Super Bowl or bust. Like, they think they're special. The Washington Commanders in 2025 should not have been thinking Super Bowl or bust. But it's just like such an alluring thing to believe, oh man, we're one move away. Like, we're Super Bowl or bust this year. Very few teams actually meet that criteria. The Bills do meet that criteria. They remained extremely patient with Sean McDermott. Like, I thought they could have made a change, honestly, 2 or 3 years running. They didn't do it because clearly they believed in him as a head coach. Clearly he is a good head coach. But after 6 failed attempts, I think it was very logical and rational to be like, we could be making a mistake, but we have to let someone else be like the new final piece of the puzzle here, a new pair of eyes, because the margins are so thin for us at this point. One tiny little thing could make the difference between losing in the divisional round or finally going to the Super Bowl. It was a tough, honestly, like, this is a silly word to use, but kind of brave decision. So they did the hard part, and then they couldn't follow it up with the even harder part in bringing in a true outside voice, Denny.
Yeah, I will say, I'm not quite where you are as far as like this is a disastrous move. I will say that the move was clearly to bring in new eyes, to look at this offense, to look at how Josh Allen is used, to just improve it from a schematic standpoint. They didn't do that.
They lost their nerve. Yep.
That's unfortunate. It reminds me, so taking this approach, like you just outlined, where you do the really hard thing and you yank off the Band-Aid and you fire Sean McDermott, one of the most successful coaches of the past decade. And then you blow it by not making any real change, by just promoting the guy calling the plays anyway. It reminds me of a team that doesn't really like analytics and really doesn't like going for it on fourth down. And they say, okay, fine. You're bullying me into going for 4th and 2 from the 30-yard line. I'll do it. And then they call a run up the middle.
They call their worst play
3 yards. And then they go, see, it doesn't work. See, what did I tell you? We should have kicked the field goal. That's the same thing here. We'll see. It's not, after this year, see, it didn't work. And you guys wanted Sean McDermott gone, and they're going to blame. I'm telling you, there's going to be so much infighting here because of the power that was given to Brandon Beane in this whole thing. I think it's going to be pretty ugly as far as like the politics of this go.
It's getting very tight. That was such a great comparison. I have so many follow-up thoughts to what you just said. One of them, I mentioned to you before we came on the air. I was watching ESPN last week. Ben Solak was on the air, and he said that he just didn't think the Bills' opening was even that great. And I was like, Ben, I don't know about that. Like, you're a pretty smart guy, but I think this will be regarded as a pretty great opening. They never got traction with any of the big names. Maybe they didn't even want. So I had 2 thoughts on what happened. Like, if you're giving them like the benefit of the doubt, maybe what happened was Josh Allen said, Joe Brady is my guy. Like, you fired Sean McDermott. Joe Brady's my guy. We got to keep Joe Brady. And maybe this is just them listening to Josh Allen. This has not been reported or anything like that. But it's reasonable that maybe that's what happened. Josh Allen, well, if you fired Sean, like, I want Joe. I'm pounding the table for Joe. That's the charitable reading. The less charitable reading is after this fiasco press conference with the owner and Brandon Beane, there's a lot of like the better head coaching candidates. Like, I don't really want any part of this. Like, because you basically saw a power struggle bursting into the open in real time. and it did not appear. Maybe it wasn't dysfunctional. It did not appear overly functional.
The finger pointing, the blame game, the whole thing with naming Keon Coleman.
This is not what winning organizations do.
That press conference, like, it was bad that day. And I think we talked about it that day. It was awful that day. It gets worse with hindsight. It does strike me as like, oh, the Bills are the Jets with Josh Allen. Basically, like that, like they're it's a bad organization that happened to stumble upon, a generational quarterback.
The Pagulas, that's how you say their last name, are not necessarily lauded for their stewardship of the Buffalo Sabres, and so maybe the Bills are just the Sabres with Josh Allen. And I just feel like there's no way this was the plan, right? Like there's absolutely no way this was the plan, because it would have just happened if this were the plan, right?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, it would have. Yes, it would have happened that day or the day after.
It would have happened like a couple days later, because they would have had to pretend it wasn't the plan, but it would have just happened later that week. This were actually the plan.
I mean, whatever else we take away from this move, we can know for certain that Joe Brady is a hell of a politician. This guy, he gets in the ears of people who have the power and the money, and he says, "I'm your guy. Trust me on this."
Maybe he was a great politician in that. My enemies are destroying themselves. Say nothing. And he just like, I'm staying out. Like, you call me if you need me.
Chaos is a ladder. Game of Thrones.
Yeah. He's very various-ing.
Yeah, that guy.
Little fingering. Yeah, various and Littlefinger. Great show. Real great ending. Real great ending to that show. Game of Thrones. Little known HBO show. Where were we going with that? Are we done on the Bills?
I think we're done for now, but we'll be talking.
Yeah, we will be coming back.
About it,
So Mike McCarthy is the next guy we're talking about. Let's close the Bills in this. If this was the plan, hire Mike McCarthy. 2-year, $25 million deal to Mike McCarthy. Like, you've got 3 years left of Josh. Like, because I just thought that was what the plan was all along. The plan all along either needed to be to bring in another veteran coach to finish the job, or to bring in like the hottest young assistant possible. And they followed neither of those paths.
Yeah. I was actually texting with a friend of mine, a family friend of mine who has lived and died for the Steelers for his whole life, from Pittsburgh. He now lives in the Maryland area, but really, really like huge Steelers guy, huge Tomlin guy, who was devastated that Tomlin left. And I said, McCarthy's going to be your guy. And I said this, last week, and he was vehement. No, that's not how the Steelers do business. We're going to go the same route that we've always gone, a young defensive minded coach who can stick around for possibly decades, like the past 3 coaches have.
Yeah. Centuries at this point. Who knows how long people are going to live.
But I mean, so I think it's actually like culturally jarring or disorienting for Steelers fans to know that they just hired a coach who, at best, if things go absolutely perfect, he's going to be around for 4 or 5 years.
So yeah, I have so many thoughts on what the Steelers did.
I mean, that's just where to start.
So where I'm starting is that I don't necessarily think it's the right approach for the Ravens, for the Steelers, for every time they hire a head coach. Like, this needs to be a 20-year answer. Like, sports just doesn't really work like that.
I agree.
You need new voices.
I agree, yes.
And so I feel like it's kind of like a trap that they fell into. Like, it's got to be the next Tomlin every time. It's got to be the next Harbaugh every single time. So in some ways, I feel like the Steelers deserve credit for, we need to maximize, just thinking a 2 or 3 year time horizon. The NFL thinking beyond 3 years is honestly kind of silly. Like, we can make a short-term hire. It's fine. We don't have to remain, like, beholden to this way of doing business that we've done the past 60 years. Like, it's okay to make a shorter term hire. But Mike McCarthy as your short-term hire, when you don't have a quarterback, when the offense is frankly in shambles, I guess the plan is for him to resurrect this offense from the dead.
Right.
Maybe the even more disturbing plan is to run it back yet again with Aaron Rodgers. That's where I don't understand. 'Cause, like, the Ravens, I thought should have made a short-term hire. I think maybe the Ravens got the best of both worlds, which we'll get to in a minute with Jesse Minter. But the Steelers were in position to go long-term mode. Yes. They went short-term mode. I think it's kind of a disastrous short-term decision, even though Mike McCarthy, I think, would have been fine for the Bills. So just how do you feel about this on the merits? Mike McCarthy is in Pittsburgh. Good hire, disastrous hire, not moving the needle because this team's not moving the needle for the foreseeable future. What do you think?
So I've always found McCarthy a little hard to defend because he just doesn't really garner much respect in football circles. It's like
in our football,
in our football, in like analytics driven sort of football circles. It's kind of like defending Matt LaFleur. It's just impossible because no one respects him. But I will say, just from a pure fantasy football standpoint, I thought when he was hired by Dallas, I said on the show many times, this is great. Like, this is going to be awesome for this team.
You were laughed at.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, right. They laughed.
You were laughed at.
We're still looking into who laughed, but
sorry about that.
I wasn't going to name names. Kyle, if you're listening,
it was especially Kyle.
Yeah. But so for real football purposes, I really don't think this is going to work, but I'm kind of cautiously excited to see how it goes offensively. I mean, you could actually have a Steelers offense that isn't like mired in like a past where they're just establishing it and playing hard-nosed defense in the cold all the time. Like that might be out the door. We might actually get like a pass-first Steelers team. Now, the quarterback is going to determine how they operate this offense. Rodgers, the metrics were very unkind to Rodgers last year. He was horrible. He was like Cam Ward level horrible as far as like success rate and EPA goes, right? But watching him, and I love the eye test. I grind the film.
Yep.
That didn't make any sense to me. That there was a big gap between the spreadsheets and what I was seeing on the field, which is a guy with one of the liveliest arms in the league, and who was not mobile. But
I say there's the disconnect. Aaron Rodgers has lost almost zero arm talent. When he does lose arm talent, it's because his lower half is not. That's what killed him in the spreadsheets. Is just truly less than zero as a runner. Which Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to remember now. One of the very main things that made him special was how mobile and spry he was.
He was such a great runner, yeah.
He was such a great mover and athlete. And Mike McCarthy has coached 18 years and won more than 60% of his games. Like, he had Aaron Rodgers for most of that, but I mean, he's clearly underrated as a head coach. But I just don't know. Like, there's nothing. It's so barren on the offensive side of the ball.
I know. Yeah. It's like DK Metcalf, who's not a wide receiver one.
No.
Let's be real about that.
Let me be real. Let me be clear.
Yeah. And then, Jalen Warren's probably not an RB one.
No. They have so many in-betweeners.
I think Gainwell's a free agent, so I mean, if that even matters, I'm just, just kind of spitballing who they might have to work with. Still a long way from opening day 2026.
Did you see the report, Denny? Did you see the report?
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
That Mike McCarthy was a, quote, big fan of Will Howard.
I wanted to mention that, and I wanted to say LMAO because, come on. I mean, like
not the first time you've ever said that.
Yeah, I actually think it is. That can't be real. That can't, come on.
The number 185 overall pick last spring.
Will Howard's college profile is just a total nightmare.
You don't like a winner?
Right.
You don't like a national champion?
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's curious. All right.
That is that I do.
I see two winners, Mike McCarthy and Will Howard.
I do like when that happens, when a bad quarterback wins the national championship, and sorry if you hate winning. But that can't be. I don't know what they can do quarterback wise.
I don't either, man.
What are they going to do? Sell out to go get Mendoza or something? No, they're not going to do that.
Mendoza.
They're not going to do that. Although he is a culture guy. So
yeah, the Raiders are not. The Raiders are smitten. They're barely even hiding it that Mendoza is the pick.
That's not gonna work.
We'll see about that. But the Steelers, they have the number 21 overall pick. Like, they're just screwed.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do.
That's the Pickett zone. That's the Kenny Pickett zone.
I mean, there was a report shortly after the season. Adam Schefter said that the Steelers players were going up to ownership with tears in their eyes, and they were saying, "Please bring back Aaron Rodgers. And I guess that was a real report. And so I guess he has a chance to come back now that McCarthy is at the helm. People say, well, didn't they get not get along? I don't think it was that. If I remember correctly, it was the fact that the front office drafted Jordan Love, and McCarthy didn't have anything to do with that, and actually was not a huge fan of.
McCarthy was already gone actually when they drafted Love. For the record,
really?
Yeah, I think
I must have missed.
McCarthy was fired at 18. The Love pick happened in 19. I think it was Rodgers was already deeply unhappy with the front office for not drafting a wide receiver at that. I will say I could see some seething passive aggression between these two if this is really like the plan.
Yeah. Before I forget, I wanted to say that McCarthy has a great track record of productive tight ends as well, both in Green Bay and in Dallas. I mean, Fergie was not a thing until McCarthy got there and really, made him a legit like fantasy option. So whoever, I know that the Steelers have 15 tight ends, but whoever, ends up as the atop the depth chart at tight end for the Steelers, I would be interested in them.
My final opinion on McCarthy is that he could have been a strange new respect hire in like several different places. I don't think Pittsburgh is one of them. As in, like, people have strange new respect for Mike McCarthy after 2026. I do not see it happening here. And I really don't understand how why it happened. We actually know why it happened. There's one reason this hiring happened. Yeah, it's because he's from Pittsburgh. And that's the only reason this happened.
I saw some unfortunate AI art showing him in a Pittsburgh bar. Ooh.
No. It was way more unfortunate than that. Really? I believe it was showing his dad.
Who
owned a Pittsburgh bar. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I could be wrong, but I believe his dad was at least in the AI.
His late father?
Art. I think so.
Yeah.
We love our AI. Denny and I are both huge AI adopters. Maybe an AI coach would have been better than Mike McCarthy. We must move on, though. From the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the other long-term Horizons team, Baltimore, actually made a long-term Horizons coach, Jesse Minter, a disciple of the brothers Harbaugh. So they just fired. Curious, you fire a Harbaugh, then you get one of their main acolytes, one of their main apostles. But we don't know his staff yet. Jesse Minter, we do know his defense has been capital A, capital P problem. Wherever he's been the past 5 years. Jesse Minter's been giving quarterbacks fits really the past 2 years with the Chargers. I'm sure he did in Michigan too. How do we feel about Jesse Minter as the next Ravens head coach? We don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be, which is the main thing we care about in fantasy. What do you think about this hire for Baltimore?
I think it's good. I really do. I was hoping that they would make this move. I was hoping they would get Minter. I mean, Minter strikes me as a long-term coach.
He does. He should have been in Pittsburgh. The Ravens needed to make a short-term hire. So not to cut you off, to immediately just cut you off and start ranting.
Not to cut me off.
Minter should have been the Steelers coach. The Ravens should have hired Mike McDaniel or someone to finish the Lamar project. I really did think the mission was maximize Lamar, have the head coach be Lamar's guy, and they didn't do it. And I don't know what's supposed to be different now with Jesse Minter.
I hear you, and I think that is a fair assessment of this situation. I do think some teams just see themselves in a certain way, and the Ravens see themselves, because they won their first Super Bowl based on like the greatest defense of all time with like one of the worst offenses to ever make the Super Bowl.
Truly.
So that established the culture forever. I mean, if the Ravens are around in 100 years, they'll still be trying to relive that season.
To your point, this is what the Pittsburgh Steelers still do after the 70s, which was half a century ago at this point.
The Bears have been trying to replicate 85 since 85. It's just, unfortunately, it is what happens when the Bears move into a dome. Thank God, they will ditch that 1985 mindset.
You gotta cut that out. Cut that part out. I was livid on Sunday at people being like, "See, this is why everywhere needs to have a dome." Like, no, actually. Like my dull life needs some variance in it, and this is actually freaking amazing. All right,
listen, they're coming around. The folks are coming around on the dome situation. I mean, the Steelers will be the last team playing outside.
Well, to not to blow a massive hole in your argument immediately, the Buffalo Bills are opening a brand new non-dome this year.
It's there's some talk of whether it is or is not a dome.
Really?
Like if it's retractable or like somewhat domed off.
I didn't think there was any dome element.
I don't know.
Do you have any idea what you were saying before
I do. So Minter, he does seem like a good hire in an era of NFL football that has trended very dramatically toward the run game and toward defense. 4 years ago, I would have said, this is bad. Like, this is not a good play for a sharp franchise. Like, this is an offensive league now. Well, for now, and things will change, but for now, it is a defense first, run game first league. And I think that they kind of fed into that with this hire. And I think that's a good thing for now.
And two, we're talking about maximizing Lamar Jackson. That actually could be the way to maximize him. Protect him again with a truly elite defense. The defense got better as 2025 went on, but that was not a Ravens
but
defense.
Not very good. Yeah, not
very good. The run game was also just kind of weirdly bad. I know the spreadsheets ended up liking Derrick Henry's season a lot, and they're always going to like Lamar's running. But that wasn't the formula that had worked so well, where you play near league-leading defense and then devastating big plays on offense, play action, lulling them to sleep, hitting them down the field. When the Ravens are at their best, they're consistently ripping off 5 to 6 yard runs. The defense has to start cheating up, and then that's when the 72-yard touchdown to Rashad Bateman happens. That didn't happen at all this year.
Jesse Minter, if you're listening, you need to hire an offensive coordinator that's going to never not do play action, because I was looking at Sam Darnold's play action stats from this year, and they're outrageously good, right? And that makes sense, right? And they were good against the Rams this past week. But the only guy who was above Darnold in every category and by a wide margin was Lamar Jackson. That guy absolutely cooks with play action. And the thing is, the Ravens only used it at a league average rate, which is maddening.
I wonder if that's a Lamar thing. I wonder if he doesn't want to take the risk of a massive hit on play action.
Play action? I don't know.
You get exposed to some pretty big hits if the teams don't respect the fake. Teams, though, always respect the fake. Like, you could run play action 99 straight times. You're like, there's no way the defense is going to respect the play fake this 100th time. And they easily respected the play fake.
I remember reading an analysis from somebody, and I'm sorry, I can't remember, but Lamar under center play action stuff back in his first MVP season was like killer.
Like broke the league.
Yeah. And they haven't, and he's been in shotgun since. Maybe
that might be a player thing, I feel like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, Lamar, I don't think he took like one college snap under center. So, it is something he's used to.
Very interesting. All right. Well, 3 big hires. We'll get to some of the lesser big hires. Very great grammar when we return right after this. Don't miss the debut of Sunday Night Basketball on NBC and streaming on Peacock on February 1st. The Lakers and Knicks tip things off, followed by the nightcap of the Thunder at the Nuggets. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. NBC, we are owning Sunday nights, because guess what's coming up after basketball? Before you start groaning and booing, it's baseball. Guess what? it's everyone's problem now. We got baseball.
Which is why I'm wearing my Blue Jays sweatshirt, because we're only 17 days away from pitchers and catchers, man. Come on.
No, that's actually not a joke. I'm excited. So excited about NBC having baseball. So excited about NBC having the NBA. Our coverage has been unbelievable so far. Titans offseason has been a lot less believable than I was expecting. It hasn't been unbelievable, Denny. I was expecting the worst. It's been close to the best for a team like Tennessee. Robert Saleh, another guy actually I thought the Ravens should have hired. If they were going to go defensive-minded, I thought Robert Saleh just screams Baltimore Ravens football. He didn't go to Baltimore. He went to Tennessee. Now, a team where we kind of like, this needs to be a situation where the next head coach, his sole job is maximizing Cam Ward, like bringing Cam Ward along. Robert Saleh is not going to do that as a defensive mind. If the reports are true, and he ends up snagging Brian Daboll, who supposedly is like, I'm taking the job as long as I don't get the Raiders job. Like, Brian, I hate to break it to you, you're not getting the Raiders job.
Well, the
Raiders clearly want one of these like 32-year-old guys.
Yeah,
who's like, he's never called plays above high school, but he's ready. He's ready to run this offense.
Right, he's ready to earn the least amount of money that any coach has ever earned.
That's true. That's true. I think Tom Brady, I think is totally haunted by not going mastermind mode last year. Like he backed into a retread in Pete Carroll. They retread quarterback in Geno Smith. I think Brady is totally haunted that they didn't go bold, or like mastermind mode last year. So I just don't see any way the Raiders are hiring Brian Daboll, who I talk about short-term thinking. He's a guy who seems to think in short-term time horizons. Like, I don't care if Jackson Dart's healthy in 5 years. I'm here right now. Oof. And so I don't think Brian Daboll to Vegas is happening. Brian Daboll to Tennessee probably is happening. What would Brian Daboll as the Titans' next offensive coordinator mean for Cam Ward?
I think Brian Daboll for the rest of his career is going to be a guy who is brought in to do quarterback reclamation projects. And, he did it because he had success with Josh Allen, who, look, the Zoomers might not remember, but Josh Allen was extremely raw to the point where it was almost funny to watch him as a rookie. Like I used to tune in to be like, oh, that kid from Wyoming's playing. This is
not just as a rookie, also as a second year.
A little less second year, but yeah, you're right. And then he cleaned up his mechanics big time, his decision making, all this stuff. And now he's a Hall of Famer. Now, that's not going to happen everywhere. And I think a lot of teams have been duped into thinking, well, it worked for the Bills once, we can do it too. I think that's why Brian Daboll got the Giants job, is to say, do this for Daniel Jones.
Which he kind of did. And then he kind of did for Jackson Dart too. He's got, I would say at this point, he does have a track record.
He did. The Giants offense was kind of good. Before Daboll was fired. I know, look, we have bad memories of the last 4 or 5 weeks for the Giants when I think they were tanking, unfortunately, but they were good before the offense was good, at least before Daboll was fired.
They were doing a little reverse tanking before he was fired, by the way, which was one of the reasons he was fired, where they were doing job saving. And
jobs. Right.
It was a bit unseemly. Like, sure, you can take this hit, man. Like,
right.
Coach, you sure I should really be doing that? I'm 22. And then, no, that's fine.
Yeah, right. I've suffered 4 brain injuries.
You're a big guy.
Years. Yeah, right. Yeah, get in there, big guy. And so Cam Ward strikes me as that sort of reclamation project because, buddy, that rookie year was real bad.
It was.
I'm sure, look, I've said this online a few times and I get monster pushback from both Cam Ward fans and from Titans fans. And they say offensive line, pass catchers, this and that, scheme, the defense, that this and that.
Literally Brian Callahan.
I mean, bro, like what was going on with this guy last year? I actually feel like he tricked the league into thinking he was a good quarterback. No. Looking back at his metrics out of college, it's ugly. It's actually.
I think what probably happened is he just overestimated how ready he was, and he tried to do all this cool stuff he did in Miami, didn't work at all, and he kind of had some humble pie late in the season. I feel like where he clearly was like, I got to cut down on my turnovers, and he did. Pretty low bar to clear. But it was the very bare minimum he needed to do to like make any progress, quote unquote, down the stretch. He did cut out his turnovers, Denny.
So, but he has a throwing motion that has to be cleaned up, right? It's a mess. It's McCarthy. It's JJ McCarthy-esque. It's that like Daboll has a huge project ahead of him. Make this guy an NFL starter, and I don't think that's an easy job.
Don't compare anyone to JJ McCarthy, man. That's mean.
Is it? Yeah. Is it too much?
It's too much.
I'm going to apologize to Cam Ward in advance, but I mean, if anybody can do it, I think it's Daboll because he just has that. He has that experience. Like you have some raw talent, and he does. He made very cool throws, Mahomes-esque throws. Okay, and you can't do that. You can't play that sort of ball where it's either the worst throw or the best throw you've ever seen. There has to be something in the middle. I think Daboll can do that.
I think Daboll too will have credibility. Like, because it's not just Josh Allen. He'd be like, Cam, like I got Daniel Jones paid, man. All right.
He did.
You think that was easy?
He did.
You think that was easy?
This might involve, by the way, Cam, if you're listening, this might involve you running a little bit.
I know it's going to definitely involve him.
Because look, Cam Ward against the Seahawks of all teams had his best game of the season last year. Okay. And in that game, I believe he had 7 or 8 rushing attempts. And the coaches were raving after the game, the whole week after the game. We told Cam Ward, you got to get out of the pocket. You got to run a little bit. And he did it. And we're proud of him. And we're going to do that going forward. And Cam Ward immediately stopped running after that. So I feel like this is going to involve him as being more of a rusher in this offense. Not a Lamar style guy, but like, I don't know, 4, 5 design rushes a game, maybe something like that, maybe even fewer. But that's going to have to change because he can't just sit back there and be a pocket passer.
No.
Unless he makes enormous strides in one offseason.
He definitely needs to give the defense something else to think about, Cam Ward. And he's a good enough athlete where he could do that. I completely agree. And the hire would seem to foreshadow that is going to be a part of the plan.
Yeah.
And so, this is kind of getting in the galaxy brain territory. I feel like it's a bullish indicator for Cam Ward that Brian Daboll even took this job. Because I think Brian Daboll probably had several jobs to pick between. And the fact that he still believes in Cam Ward, probably a good sign for the young man. Does anybody still believe in Bobby Slowik? Man, the Dolphins, man. The Dolphins are kind of quote low-key Bills-ing, where they're making like super uninspiring hires. Jeff Hafley, I just don't see the vision. Jeff Hafley.
God, man, I have so much to say on Hafley, and this is bad, guys. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans. The takeaway from last season, or the takeaway from the Mike McDaniel era, was that we have to make this a cold weather team. Was the takeaway.
It's truly just appallingly not smart.
Okay, so they're like, okay, we're gonna go to a cold weather city, Green Bay, right? It's cold there. We're gonna bring you guys down south, and you're gonna create a cold weather team. Guys, do you realize that you're still going to be playing in 115-degree heat in Miami?
Makes truly zero sense
for a huge portion of the season. You're talking about one game in December where it's 20 degrees in Buffalo and it's windy. That's it. That's what you're building the team for. It makes zero sense. And
it makes zero sense. You build around your strengths, not your weaknesses. The strengths, it's still hot in Miami in December a lot of times. Embrace that. Worry about the cold, like you said, when it gets cold once every 2 years. Totally insane approach to building a team. I agree.
Hafley, the stuff that he's saying about team building and trust and belief and all this stuff, wow, it just seems to me very hollow. And also, I was reminded of this the other day. The Dolphins have tried this before. They hired. Remember Joe Philbin? They brought him down and they were like, "Make us the Packers, Joe," and it failed immediately. So they didn't learn. They're going to try it again. They're bringing Bobby Slowik, who almost ruined C.J. Stroud's career. So bad.
Or did C.J. Stroud ruin C.J. Stroud's career? Because
there was a little blame to go around. But
was that Slowik calling plays in the divisional round?
No, it wasn't. And I'm this is not exonerating C.J. Stroud. But I will say that Slowik, if I remember correctly, had the most predictable use of shotgun and under center stuff. Didn't do any of the cool stuff. No motion. He never spread it out. And so I don't know how he got another job as an OC. It's just amazing.
I don't. With Slowik, I think what it really comes down to, a huge part of the problem is C.J. Stroud. He's a problem you have to have answers for. This year, they did have some answers. He ran very hot and cold, C.J. Stroud, but one key was that he did run hot, especially after he came back from the injury. He had a pretty good stretch run. So the playoff implosion, very concerning. They're playing elite defenses, but they had some answers this year. Bobby Slowik had no answers in 2024. That was what was most concerning by Bobby Slowik. It just seemed like he had no clue how to fix any of his deficiencies. Absent 2 or 3 quarterbacks, they're going to have deficiencies with whomever you're coordinating, whomever you're calling plays for. And Slowik just seemed like he had no answers. And I don't know what the vision for hiring Bobby Slowik is supposed to be for the Miami Dolphins, or promoting him. He was on the staff, I guess. And now he's been promoted.
I mean, Slowik, who famously worked for Pro Football Focus, seemed like one of us, was kind of pitched or sold.
Being one of us is a huge problem, by the way. You can't be one of us in the NFL. That's a huge problem.
No. No, it's good. It's good. But at least I thought, well, if he fails, he'll fail. He'll go out swinging. He'll do cool stuff. And man, Slowik was not into that at all.
No.
And as far as play calling goes, so I am not inspired by this.
I'm not. The Dolphins thing just too. Hafley, like he was respected at Boston College. My retort to that is I would have rather he be respected at Virginia Tech or Miami or like an actual, like he got respect for like doing a few things at like a B level program and keeping them a B level program. And Hafley just seems like a Parsons merchant, right? Like I guess he got some respect in 2024 before they had Parsons. They crumbled at all the biggest moments. I don't understand the Hafley hire for Miami. Famous last words, of course.
Yeah. I will say Hafley's defense was out-schemed unlike anything anyone has ever seen against Ben Johnson in the wild card game.
He was dizzy. Hafley.
We always talk about an offense being put in a blender. The Packers defense was put in a blender that day.
Denny has to admit Ben Johnson's good. Very painful. Probably needs to take a second to recuperate. We'll be right back after this. The countdown is on to the Winter Olympics in Milan. Don't miss watching the best athletes in the world compete for a chance to win gold. It all begins Friday, February 6th with the opening ceremonies on NBC and Peacock. Offensive coordinator changes are in the air. The Jets have basically announced we're making a change. We got a plan, as we alluded to earlier. Tanner Engstrand is out. I've seen a lot of people saying, Denny, one of the only things that like deserved any credit for the 2025 Jets is actually Tanner Engstrand, and considering the awful circumstances, he didn't even do that bad of a job. He's out. It appears Frank Reich is going to be in, but that is nowhere close to official. And it seems like maybe they're thinking even crazier than that. Is this they're up to 8 or 9 fired assistants, I think, like we said in the jump. It kind of seems like, maybe you should have just fired the head coach if you're blaming all the assistants. I don't know, any thoughts? What do you say other than this is a huge disaster? Maybe it can even get worse.
So here's the short of it. Aaron Glenn is going to stick around for at least one more year because Woody Johnson was actually involved in the hiring process this time. Yes. The past two hires, he was serving the United States government overseas and was not around to do that sort of evaluation. He was at the head of that evaluation for Aaron Glenn. And so that's his guy, right? And so he's going to get another year. Otherwise, Aaron Glenn would have been gone, I believe. There's just really no reason to go forward with him. The in-game management was the worst I've ever seen. You posted the other day about the score, the point differential.
Yes.
Which
let me tell you the stat. And immediately Jets fans were hitting me with, I don't ever heard of tanking. And like, that's why we were way worse. Really? Yeah, because the stat was that you're sorry to sidetrack you as always, but
no, go ahead.
The Jets 7-game losing streak to begin the season. They had quote unquote only a negative 54 point differential, and then that they had 3 losses that were by exactly 2 points. Hinting maybe there's some bad luck. Maybe a team that'll get better down the stretch. Then their 5-game losing streak to end the season, a negative 134 point differential.
That's outrageous.
They did. Like, I know you traded Quinnen Williams. I know you traded Sauce Gardner, but like that's a sign of a team that made 0 progress and in fact got worse. Very concerning.
That's the problem. So Aaron Glenn, defensive guy, right? Comes in, the first defense ever in history to not have an interception. And then you look at the effort stuff, right? There are effort stats that you can look at from the defensive side of the ball. Jets were top 5 in missed tackles on rushing plays, and they led the league by far in yards after contact on rushing plays. This is effort. This is effort. I saw someone post the other day, like the reason the Broncos are really good on defense is because they are just ferocious tacklers, right? Like they take pride in that. There was no pride in the Jets. In fact, from a fantasy standpoint, I remember making decisions based on the fact that as early as like week 8, based on the fact that this team doesn't want to be around anymore. They're not playing for Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn has lost the locker room completely. And it worked out more times than not, from a fantasy standpoint. So, but he's going to stick around. He has to give total control to the offense to somebody who can do something with it. As far as defense, I think he has to sink or swim with it. I think he has to take over the defense.
He does.
Steve Wilkes last year, and then fired him, and then told the press, I probably shouldn't have hired him in the first place. What's going on with this guy?
I don't understand the Steve Wilkes thing. He's been one and done, fired like 7 different.
I know that's your guy,
including him, Mizzou. Somehow Mizzou had Steve Wilkes for a year. We were very bad on defense that year and have been very good since then.
How? Oh, yeah. I mean, how does this guy keep getting work? It's actually unreal. But anyway, the Tanner Engstrand thing, like there was talk of like he's going to keep the OC title but have no role in play calling or scheming. And I guess he said I would not like to do that. And so they're going to bring in Frank Reich, it looks like,
who has been Steve Wilkesing pretty hardcore on the other side of the ball.
Right, Frank Reich. Are you serious? This guy, he has been an abject failure everywhere he's gone. As I should say, as a head coach, he had some success as an offensive coordinator, but really, really poor stuff for the Jets.
He had a little success as a head coach for the Colts, just a little bit.
He
killed it. He killed it as the Stanford interim head coach last year.
Come on, man. I was trying to remember. You mentioned like, do you know how bad Frank Reich has been?
I'm not even kidding. One night I was watching ESPN2 at like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, as I do, and I was serious. Like, is that Frank Reich? Like, is he the Stanford head coach? I just assumed he was the normal head coach. He's the interim head coach. One final topic for today. We have some other stuff we're not going to be able to get to. I do want to ask you about Matthew Stafford. Could have maybe saved it for Thursday, give him a little more of his flowers. But he is openly contemplating retirement again. He's unclear if he wants to spend all of August, locked in the trailer like he did last year to get his body ready.
In the fridge, not in the
trailer. The fridge, still the fridge and the trailer. The healing powers of the mobile fridge, truly astonishing. Like that, by the way, the NFL's me a little upset at me. I'm breaking a little news. They're sending the fridge to the Hall of Fame. They have to build a whole new wing for it, but they're putting the Matthew Stafford hyperbaric Han Solo chamber into the Hall of Fame after what it did for him this year. So Stafford had an unrepeatable 2025. But if he retires, are the Rams screwed? Basically?
Oh yeah. They are in. So if Stafford retires, McVay retires. Gone. Yeah, McVay is absolutely. He's not reading all that. Like
he's cooing Kirk Herbstreit on Amazon Prime if Matthew Stafford retires.
Man, that's actually a great prediction. Yeah, lock that in on Kelsey or whatever the thing is. Stafford. I mean, his numbers were actually out. I said outrageous for the 15th time, but I'm going to say it again. Outrageous.
Say otherworldly. Great. Fantastic. 8.8 adjusted yards per attempt. That's his career high. 7.7% touchdown rate, career high. A career low, 1.3% interception rate. His EPA was off the charts. I mean, I feel like in a league with so few pocket passers who can manipulate defenses, who can read defenses, he can demand anything he wants, like from any team, including the Rams. Like he's slated to make, I think, $48 million next year. And I feel like he could be like, I'm going to need a raise, guys. And he could get it because he's that valuable. He was in a position of weakness last offseason. They kind of forced him to take a pay cut. And then it's like they added Devontae Adams, and that was like all he needed. And third 40 touchdown season of his career. Yeah, he was very introspective, very philosophical this week. He's played through a lot. His wife has had health issues. He seemed like he needed to be talked into coming back last year. I wouldn't be shocked if he really did hang it up. But the money that he's due is so great. It's so hard to retire after a season like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was his left it all in the field season, a phenomenon I've kind of talked about before. Like if you know it's your last year, you'll do just absolutely everything to get your body ready. And to the point where it's like a bigger job than even like preparing quarterback or game planning. Preparing quarterback, I don't know what that means, but maybe he's not willing to do that again. But I would be very shocked if Matthew Stafford were not back.
Yeah, I think he'll come back. It's hard not to come back when you have such a good offense, good offensive line. as far as pass protection goes. You have Puka Nacua. I mean, I believe they have Devontae Adams signed
I believe so. I believe it was a 2-year deal
through this year. A good crop of tight ends, including like an up and coming, possibly like really good tight end, Terrence Ferguson. Like he has a lot going for him. I will say though, like,
I'm sure they'll extend Tyler Higbee again, by the way.
Yeah, well, whatever. But one last job, I think, is the name of the game here, and I think Stafford will come back to do it.
It kind of felt like this was the one last job year, but the money's. So now it's gonna be the classic one last job. We're like, how did the cops know we were coming? Like they're gonna be getting like the bank robbery goes totally awry in 2026. They weren't supposed to know. They were supposed to be closed today. The jeweler is open for some reason, and
for some reason, yes. Yeah. Oh man, you're right. When they have 5 wins entering December.
Yeah. So the money's gonna be too good, by the way. So Stafford, they got to get the fridge back from the Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame will let them have it.
We're gonna need a colder fridge.
It's true. Maybe they actually have already ordered an even colder fridge to tenderize Matthew Stafford. You know what? Rams fans have been quote unquote low key trying to manifest. By the way, they think that Burrow is the next Ram up. That's what they think. I think maybe Burrow thinks that too. But let me introduce you to the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe, and how they do not allow good things to happen to anybody.
Dude, the Bengals are Hotel California. Burrow's
gonna have to like retire and like not play for 2 years to force his way off the Bengals.
Like not even exaggeration. Like he's gonna have to go like overseas for a while and come back and be 40 years old and then sign with the Rams.
We're going overseas for 2 days. Then we're sailing back with Kyle Dvorak on Thursday. I'm sure there'll be even more head coaching news, coordinator news by then. So for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. We really appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.